You're welcome back. Now, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council has served notice to all persons illegally occupying lands belonging to the Animal Research Institute to evacuate within 48 hours. Now, for years, unscrupulous persons have sold 800 acres of these lands. Now, the remaining 200 have also started witnessing some encroachments recently. Now, according to the Regional Minister Henry Korte, the activities of these encroachers have compromised millions worth of vital research work. He warns that the council, in a three-phased approach, will begin demolishing all buildings within the encroached lands. We can take a listen to the Regional Minister.
The Animal Research Institute has been in existence since January 1957 and has been responsible for the development of cutting-edge research to aid animal production in Ghana. Located in the Adentan municipality, their lands span over 1,000 acres. Over the last 10 years, about 800 acres have been encroached. 2 weeks ago, the Regional Security Council visited the site and promised to retrieve the lands.
It is sad and that people have the effrontery to move onto government property and build anyhow. A typical example is this one. It's supposed to be a clinic. People are fencing, raising a fence wall around it. I wonder where we are getting to. So we have come to look at it. REGSEC will go back and meet and will take a decision, but in no time we'll inform you. But I foresee a situation that by the grace of God, and I say again, by the grace of God, we'll go through the process and all this will come down.
In pursuant to that promise, the chair of the Regional Security Council, Henry Korte, has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to house owners in the area and land guards to evacuate immediately or they will be forcefully removed.
Armed land guards, we are told, walk in and out of the institute with impunity, some riding motorbikes and compromising the biosecurity of the farm animals. We wish to place on record that none of the buildings have any building permits. Consequently, REGSEC is collaborating with the Adentan Municipal Assembly and the CSIR to remove all unauthorized structures mushrooming within the fenced land without further delay. REGSEC is hereby giving a 48 hours notice from now, effective now as we speak, to all those who are putting up such unauthorized structures within the fence wall to pack their tools and materials from the land without fail. Any persons found loitering within the 200-acre perimeter after the deadline will be dealt with in accordance with the laws of the land. REGSEC with the Adentan Municipal Assembly and the Animal Research Institute proceed to remove every structure on the land subsequently.
Meanwhile, Henry Korte says investigations have begun to help unravel the identities of persons involved in the illegal sale of these lands.
Yes, we have heard rumors that some people, it's been alleged, working within the CSIR may be part of the whole scene. We will get the security intelligence agencies to begin investigations into that, and then once they get results, they will bring report to us and we'll forward it to the appropriate quarters for the necessary actions to be taken.
But MD of the Institute, Dr. Ebenezer Ansa, says previous attempts to ward off the encroachers ended in violence.
Your head of security, so many occasions. Other staff did straw and just say, on so many occasions, our staff had to do a sit-down strike. They lay down their tools, they say they can't work. The
Security Council says it will fight to restore the lands to the Research Institute. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Well, the countdown is still on, but fortunately we've been joined in studio now by Dr. Ebenezer Ansa, Director of the Animal Research Institute, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time. So it appears that even the situation there is fast deteriorating. There are even attacks on some of your members that you're pointing out to. How did we get here in the first place?
Thank you very much, and good evening or afternoon to your audience. That's a difficult question to answer, but let me say that we didn't invite the encroachers. They came on their own, and initially they started doing it under the cover of darkness. And because we don't have adequate security staff, by daybreak you find a structure, standing, which previously or the day before was not there. So this has been a cat and mouse game. We bring in the police, they run away, the police leave, they come back. So this has been the situation over years.
Do we know the history surrounding how you acquired the land as CSIR? Because perhaps these landowners, and I'm using that word advisedly, may have been ordering a sale, a resale, or whatever arrangement it is that's allowing people to go in there with some level of entitlement to put up structures. What's your take on that?
Let me say categorically on TV that no one, per the laws of this land, has the right to go in and put up unauthorized structures on the land. This land was acquired by government in 1976 through Executive Instrument 38. And the law clearly states that when government has the right to compulsorily acquire land, whether they have paid compensation or not, you have no right to go in there. You go in there, that is against the law. That is what the Lands Act 2020 at 1036 says. If you refer to section 236, unlawful occupation or sale of public lands, it is very clear. So, and the sad thing is that the owners were compensated.
At the time?
Yes. So no one has the right to go in there. It is criminal. The laws of this land.
If you take a look at where the walls have been raised, just as we've seen in the report, is that portion yours, or perhaps because it's too close to your area, that's why you're asking these persons to stop the development?
You see, where we have raised the wall was done just for the purpose of practicality. Far beyond the wall, all that land belongs to Animal Research Institute. And because it's been a cat and mouse game, we decided that, okay, let's fence it off. We don't have the resources. We had to acquire a loan, which we haven't even finished paying. And interest are accumulating on that loan.
Just to fence the area?
Just to fence the 200 remaining portion. These land guys broke the fences, made of blocks. And I'm talking about just a couple of months ago. It became unbelievable. I don't know who was motivating them. Broke down all these walls and came here and were building as if they were being funded by the World Bank.
But then, in terms of your activities as CSIR, how would the construction of, say, a three-bedroom house or a story building affect necessarily the research that you have to carry out in that area? For someone who doesn't understand what it is like, what your work entails, how would the construction of these facilities affect your research work?
Thank you very much for that very important question. Now, there is a reason why the land that was given by government to Animal Research Institute was that vast. All over the world, I'm sure your listeners have traveled to some countries, advanced countries, developing countries. You realize that animals and human beings and plants coexist even in cities. And to be able to develop your livestock industry, you need a large tract of land for grazing. I just returned from Amsterdam just a couple of days ago. From the air, just around even Schiphol Airport, you see a vast land of greenery, and they are just pasture. For some areas, you will see some of the pastures harvested and baled to be taken up to various farms. And this is just around the airport in the middle of Amsterdam. It is not only peculiar to Amsterdam. You go to London, Heathrow, the same. I mean, it's all over. For even a developed and advanced country, advanced countries in Europe. And I can assure you land is much more expensive out there than here in Accra. Now, coming back to the question that you asked, when the CSIR was set up, its mandate included all ranges of animals. We're talking about pigs, we're talking about poultry, that is broilers, layers, guinea fowl. We're talking about ruminants such as sheep, goats, and cattle. When it comes to cattle, they require a very large tract of land to be able to graze. And like I mentioned earlier, you need to harvest. So precisely that is the reason why such large tracts of land.
And you keep all these animals?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Now, let me come back to the next part of your question. When you are carrying out an experiment, you see, the purpose for which this institute was set up was not to support subsistence farming. To be able to feed the country, we need to go into commercial large-scale agriculture as a nation. And the reason why government assembled all these arrays of PhD holders was to develop expertise that will put us in that category. Now, when you develop a technology, you may do it on a small-scale experimental basis. You need to scale it up on a pilot basis. Then finally, for it to become relevant to commercial-scale agriculture, you need to try it on farm. So we need to have farms that has the same size and capacity as commercial farms.
Okay, so
and if it
helps basically your simulation exercises.
Precisely the point. Precisely the point. Absolutely. So for us to be able to advise a commercial scale farmer and tell him that your technology works, we need to be able to demonstrate that on a commercial scale.
And yet all the 800 acres is gone. So how do you do it now? How do you make up for the loss?
Honestly, I don't know where we go from here. It's a difficult question to ask. Because that is where we find ourselves.
Okay, so let's explore the issue of the solutions here. Will a relocation be the best way out of this? Because some would argue that if we're dealing with some 100 acres and 800 is taking out, you have just about 200 or 300 left. I don't know the exact figure as of now. Then the best solution is to find another completely new 100 acres for you to allow that proper and standard operations that you may be seeking for.
So the question
how about that approach?
The question is, if we relocate Animal Research Institute to a different place, are we going to encroach on that again? And then we will relocate Animal Research again?
Good question.
That is not the way to go. As I mentioned earlier on, all over the world, take Oxford University, take Wageningen, I'm an alumnus of Wageningen University. You see universities, industries growing together with farmlands inside the city. So that is the ecological and sustainable way to go, because we depend on each other. It is a food web. We are interconnected.
For how long have you been fighting these land guards?
For years, dating back as far as the 1970s. But in recent times, it took an alarming turn where these land guards became so I don't know what word to use. The level of impunity is undescribable. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
And what's interesting is that you're a state agency. The belief is, at least you would have called the Ghana Police Service, you may have gotten in touch with the security agencies just to flash out these persons, and yet you're not getting the solution to it. How come?
Well, as I mentioned earlier on, we don't have a permanent police presence in terms of a police station on our land. So what we do is we call in the police patrol from Adentam Divisional Police Command or the District Police Command, because the Frafraha Police Station, I mean, the personnel is not able to handle such a, a request. Now, when they come in with their police patrol, the land guards run away. The moment they leave, they return. And sometimes they even work in the night, as I mentioned earlier on. And that has been a cat and mouse game that we've been fighting, over years. And we don't have the capacity to stop the land guards as an institute.
Right.
We definitely have to rely on the police.
But the good news is here, the Regional Security Council is giving 48 hours. What's your expectation? I guess the ultimatum expires today or tomorrow?
Well, the ultimatum started this morning when the press conference was held.
So we're expecting
by the
that
Minister.
by tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow?
Tomorrow will be 24 hours. The next
it started yesterday, right? Or
no, it started this morning.
That was done this morning.
Yes.
Okay. So
tomorrow will be 24 hours.
24, and then we have a.
So the 48
will
will
do another 48. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
So we're expecting. What's your expectation as CSIR?
My expectation is that the encroachers will begin to move their structures, some of which are kiosks and other, structures. Blocks that has been put there will be removed, and then they themselves will evacuate. If they chose not to do that, I think that the Regional Security Council should, come in and remove all those unauthorized structures, because that is what the law says.
Anyway, we'll be waiting for that exercise. But Doc, thank you so much for your time here on the Pulse World.